Test.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah,
Morning.
morning. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Derek will be on shortly.
Hello.
All right. Well, the Johannes, I've noticed you've been pushing some commits. It's pretty cool. Any questions or um, anything I can do to help you out?
Um, I think I'm good. I'm good for now. Yeah, I'm just working on the stats and
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, like I said, I think it'll be a good opportunity to like really rethink what kind of stats we're exporting because
Right.
there's been a lot of I mean just to share because I
Right.
haven't written down what I was thinking this and specifically what stats to export.
Right.
Like we I think you've looked at the code more recently than I have, but I'm pretty sure what we do is we just bulk everything together in like a big counter, and that doesn't let us do a lot of filtering.
Uh-huh.
And what I would like to do actually, um, in terms of the production NRE Lab site, I'd like to get to a point where we can actually publish the InfluxDB instance publicly and let people just run their own queries. But right now, the information's not really all that interesting because, like I said, I basically aggregated all the information together. When I export it to Influx, which isn't very useful. So I think it'd be cool if we could like get more detailed information exported into the TSDB. That way,
Right.
people can figure out what they want from it. And I think obviously that'll also be useful to anybody else that's running Antidote.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, actually, so far I've just like moved it into its own like program, and yeah, just yeah, I'm going to look into that, and yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Let me
I'll
know if
yeah.
there's anything I can do to help.
Yep.
If you have questions on how to spin up InfluxDB, I think I have a quick one-liner for Docker container for testing if you need to do that.
What was that?
I said I think I have a one-liner for spinning up a Docker container for testing
Oh,
somewhere.
okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't
Okay.
remember where. I'm sure it's
Okay.
somewhere, but
Okay.
see.
Okay. 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 Cool. So another question. So,
Yeah.
for like next uh task, like, is there, so I can also like look into the Python code, like work on the Python code. Is there like higher priority tasks? Like, are there higher priority tasks on the antidote ops or the NRE curriculum, or which one would you guys have like more resource on, or
Yeah, I don't know about higher priority, but there's definitely things to do all over the place. You mentioned something about Python. Can you elaborate on that?
oh, I said I could also work on the contribute on the Python. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't. There's not really. There's little bits of Python here and there. I think there's parts like in the platform in terms of like the configurator image, if you want to look at that. But the curriculum always needs more stuff. If you have experience with a particular tool or whatever, there's always work to be done on the curriculum for sure.
Okay.
There's also broken lessons, as Olivier pointed out recently, and as we pointed out over the last few weeks. There are some lessons that just simply don't work right now,
Uh-huh.
um,
I see.
and and that could always use more attention. So I would say if you want to get involved with the curriculum, that's probably a good thing to do as well.
Okay. Okay, cool.
There's issues there. You can of course look at the site live and see if you can find any issues. But if you want to just start by fixing stuff, the internet or the NRA Labs curriculum repo has a bunch of stuff open.
Okay, cool. Cool. Thanks.
Sure. Derek's on, by the way, and I looked at the forum site. I don't think we have um, a really formal agenda for today, other than open discussion. I can, of course, if anybody has any follow up from last week's agenda. I know that a lot of the stuff that we dumped on everybody last week was basically read this and let us know what you think. So anybody have any thoughts on, say, like, the MP1 design doc, the MP3 design doc, um, the guacamole replacement, or the new NRE Labs documentation?
Actually, Matt, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Matt and I are actually in a hotel room. We have one of those uh, bi-level shared residence in rooms in California, and I I woke up precisely 9 minutes ago at 8:01 a.m. So I want to apologize for that. I just I slept because I'm in a different time zone, um, and I just want to say that Matt is an angel for a roommate. He doesn't snore at all. But does anyone? Yeah. So we did dump quite a. There's a lot been dumped on you guys in the last few weeks on these calls. So if there's any, you know, if there's anything you guys like to add or any questions you'd like to ask, let us, speak up, please. Steve, congratulations, by the way, on your new role. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you know what kind of stuff you'll be focusing on?
I'm on the professional services side, so more on the consulting side. I don't know what I can say and can't say right now, so I'll stick with that.
Sure. Cool.
I like the new docs site.
Yeah.
I haven't seen if there's been any changes over the last week, but last week when reviewing it, it seemed to flow a lot better. And I like the new view of the site, and so yeah.
So one thing that I'm curious about is I think one of the reasons why it works so well. Oh, there's two actually. Is that it flows in a certain order, which the previous site didn't, and that's probably a byproduct of the fact that most of the docs that I work on or have used aren't. They don't flow in a certain order. I mostly view documentation as a reference instead of something that you read top to bottom. But in this case, I think it's obvious that that's what's was needed. In fact, some of the Red Hat folks actually said that to us in one of our meetings with them. They said, I don't really know where on the docs I'm supposed to be right now. And that struck me as odd. I'm like, I don't know. It's a reference. What are you talking about? But anyway, I think making it more chronological does make sense in this case. And I think that's helped. The other thing I think that's helped, and I'm curious about everybody's stance on this, is the fact that it just focuses on the Entry Labs curriculum, because there's a whole basically set of considerations that are only pertaining to this particular curriculum, ranging from self-medicate to the sort of the review process, the release process, all kinds of stuff like that. I think that's helpful. Does everybody generally agree that having a separate Entry Labs documentation site is useful? Because we'll still have the antidote docs, and I want to make sure that that's not like overly cumbersome to have two separate doc sites, even though we'll have links to each other. Like in the current Entry Labs doc site, there's actually a link in the first level navigation that says, if you're looking for the antidote docs, go here, that kind of thing. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I think the antidote project docs do need to move over to Gitbook as well. But keeping them separate does help when you're interested in contributing to the platform versus contributing to curriculum. They are almost completely different. So keeping them separate, keeping it focused on, if I'm strictly looking at writing curriculum, here's what I need to know, here's what I need to do, and I don't have to worry about how the larger system works.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and I actually like your idea about moving that to Gitbook eventually too. Right now, basically I'm afraid to do much with the docs on the antidote side just because of MP1. MP1 is going to kind of throw everything out almost,
Yep.
not quite, but almost. And so I think one thing that I'll do is once the bulk of the changes are complete or nearing complete, we'll just stand up a net new doc site on Gitbook, just like we've done with the curriculum, and that way we'll just eventually deprecate the old one. But we'll see. I'm knee deep in database models today. Actually, let me. I think if there's interest, I can just show briefly how that's going. If anybody's interested in MP1, I think it probably would be a good idea for me to give a brief update on how that's going. Let me get out my laptop. Give me like a minute or two, and I can show that if there's interest.
Sure.
Okay.
We're also we have a roadmap that we started putting together yesterday. That's like more, I guess, holistic. I don't know what the right word is, but every aspect of the project, because we have to deliver on that anyways. So that our company keeps sponsoring it and lets them and continues to let us work on it. So we should have that posted soon. We have Lisa, who is not on the call today because she has some family stuff she has to take care of. She's putting a really nice summary together, and as soon as that's done, we'll post it. I guess to the proposals repository.
Cool.
Thank
So
you.
actually, before Matt starts sharing, if there's, if you want to, you can either edit this stand-up post on our community site, or maybe start a new one. It doesn't really matter. But if there's things you'd like to see on the roadmap, please, make a post about it, and please keep them all in the same post. If you could, because I know people are, everyone has an interest in the outcome of the project. Divide them up into things that you'd like to see happen and things that you might be able to work on yourself. That would be good. You know what? While Matt is screen sharing, I'm gonna make that post.
And also, if it's specifically on the antidote side of things, please just post that to the MP1 pull requests. If it's higher level than that, like if it's in the curriculum or broadly where you want the project to go, then go ahead and comment on Derek's post. That way we keep things where they are most relevant. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So let's see. If I actually look for syringe, the work I'm about to show you is in a pull request called database package. Hi, Johannes. There you are. Pull
Hello.
request database package. So this was the first milestone in MP1, and it was more or less one of the least, I guess, the least potentially controversial, subjects within MP1. Everybody kind of agrees that there needs to be a database package. The way that it's implemented, it's just going to take a few weeks, so there's still plenty of time to provide feedback and comments on this. The cool thing about the way that I'm implementing this is most of the work is just done in native Go and doesn't really have anything to do with any specific implementation. It's just laying out the functions and the types that I want in the way that I want, and we can certainly make different decisions if we absolutely need to. So by no means does this mean there's that the train has left the station. It's just I wanted to get started because there's a few other pieces of the project that are actually waiting on this work to finish. And so as a result, I think it's important to at least start it. So that's what I've done. Plenty of work left to do. But the way that this is working out at the moment is in the new, and you'll notice I haven't renamed Syringe yet, so that'll still happen. I don't know when, maybe before I merge this. I don't know. I haven't thought through exactly when I want to do that, but that's happening. We'll have to figure out when that happens. But you notice I created a new directory, DB. This didn't exist before, so this is net new code. That's one of the cool things about this is since nothing is depending on this, I'm actually taking my time and thinking through exactly how all of it should work, including the way that lessons are defined, because those are modeled here, and all of that. And it's actually been it's been a really useful experience because I can make sure that everything is well tested. Not all of Syringe has really good test coverage, unfortunately, but because the DB package is net new and I have the opportunity to effectively start from scratch and build it the right way, I'm making a point to do that. So I'm actually pretty excited about the database package. It's going to be a pretty decently laid out piece of code, because I've got the basically 2 years of history on Syringe to inform the decisions that I make, which is nice. Inside the database package, you've got models. So these are effectively Go structs for any piece of, effectively any model that we need to make use of within Syringe, or I guess Antidote. Please call me out if I keep using that term. I shouldn't. A good example is lesson. So we've got sort of resource models. Any resource that you pull from the file system, as you can imagine, lesson and collection are both resource definitions, because those are things that you pull from YAML files on the file system. So let's take a poke at lesson. You'll find some to-dos every once in a while. That's pretty normal. But what's really cool is inside of each Go struct, so these are effectively the Go structs that I actually ripped these from the existing protobuf generated code, because previously what we did is we had in the old API package, we had protobuf definitions. You see lesson.proto, and you see these messages that were defined here. The protobuf generator would generate that code and effectively result in this struct. So really what I did was I just started with this code, because it started in a pretty good place. It just has a bunch of protobuf stuff attached to it. So I took that and I migrated it to its own not auto-generated code here in lesson.go. And then I ripped out all of the protobuf references. If you're not familiar with Go, these structs are defined here, and then you've got these little strings to the right. These strings where it says JSON slug, for instance, YAML slug, SQL, PK, all of that. These are key value pairs that sort of describe that provide additional context on that property. And you can access these properties using reflection within Go. And a lot of projects do that. So for instance, the Postgres driver that we're using uses reflection to access keys like SQL or PG. And those keys add additional context on things like, oh yeah, we want this field to be the primary key for this table. And by the way, this lesson struct becomes its own table in the database. And so that's how this is laid out. You'll notice also that there are JSON schema references. I mentioned this in the MP1 design doc. I'm actually very excited about this because JSON schema will be useful for us in two ways. When we ingest data from the file system, when we ingest lesson definitions into the database, it'll be useful just to validate that certain things are in the right place. Like for instance, we have a JSON schema pattern here, not for all fields, but for some fields. For instance, the tier field needs to be local, PTR, or prod. Well, we can just put a regex there in the JSON schema tags. And when we validate the lesson, it'll automatically say, hey, this field is not within the expected pattern. And so it'll just straight up reject it. So we don't have to do anything like, setting up our own enum checkers and all of that stuff. We just define it in JSON schema and it's there. The other cool thing about that is we can use the full JSON schema document to iterate over the available fields. So if we wanted to say create a new lesson from the command line, in fact, I've created a command called antidote. Let me see if I can go to it. And I have no idea what state it's in, by the way, so this may not work very well, but we'll give it a shot. Antidote. Okay, so this is working. You'll also notice I created a new antidote command. So SYRCTL still exists, but obviously that whole name is going away. So rather than modify SYRCTL, I'm just building a new command line tool called antidote. And you'll see that there's antidote import, and there's also antidote lesson. Is the database running? Nope, the database isn't running. I have a little cheat sheet that I can run here. Postgres, there we go. There's that. And then we can connect to it. Cool. So D plus. There we go. So we've got lessons, lesson endpoints. That's a mistake. I need to get rid of that table. But so lessons, if you do select all from lessons, oh, that's not very useful. Let's see, lesson get. Let's do the first thing we would want to do is do a lesson import, and we'll do the antidote test curriculum for that. And actually, it's not lesson import. I'm forgetting my own commands. There we go. So this is letting us know basically it's going to drop all the data in the antidote database. Are you sure you want to re-import a curriculum? And we say yes, and that imports it. You'll notice that's pretty similar to the existing SYRCTL validate command, and the reason for that is because the validation logic is actually pretty similar. But the cool thing about using JSON schema is we were able to remove, I was able to remove like a decent amount of code from that, because not most, but a lot of what I was doing in the previous validation logic was effectively reinventing the wheel in terms of validating the various values of fields and things like that. Now that it's mostly in JSON schema, we can keep that pretty simple. And then also, in addition, one thing that SYRCTL validate wasn't doing was using an actual database. So that's something we're doing here as well. So now if we do antidote lesson get, that doesn't work. So yeah, still work in progress. But the idea is that you can do it. You can retrieve lessons via the command line, and it'll show you sort of an output that way. Let's see what else. Antidote lesson create. I don't know if this will work. This is kind of the user experience that I'm going for here. Again, because we have a full JSON schema document for the lesson type, and the CLI knows this. So when you run a create command, if you say antidote lesson create, it's going to say, okay, I'm going to look at the full JSON schema document for the type lesson. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to iterate over all of the fields and prompt the user to provide a value for them. I'm going to create a new instance of this type, and I'm going to go over all the fields and prompt the user for their values. And the user will type them in. So please provide input, and this is all very rough. I'm going to improve the experience here, but please provide input value for slug. So I'll say test, lesson, things like that. Even the log messages, I forgot to use info-f, so yeah, very rough. Please provide input value for lesson name, so test, lesson, and so on and so forth. And that needs to, yeah, I need to encapsulate that better. Anyway, that's the kind of experience that we can get now, because we have all of the fields that are in a specific lesson type, as well as the constraints around those fields. Like it should be this, it should be a string, it should be no longer than these many characters, it should fall under one of these particular values in a regular expression pattern. All of that stuff's in the JSON schema decorating each of these type fields. And because of that, we can do some really cool tooling around creating lessons. I think that's mostly, I think that's really useful, because right now the way that you create lessons is effectively copying an existing lesson and tweaking it, which is actually not ideal. It sounds doable. It is doable. It's a passable way of doing things, but you actually end up not taking advantage of most of the features of the Antidote platform if you do that, because what if the lesson you copied from also doesn't take advantage of many of the features? So this creation wizard, I think, will help folks understand what Antidote can offer and see, oh my gosh, there's so much more that I didn't know about, because now I'm following the official sort of creation wizard. And by the way, one of the reasons I selected JSON schema is because it's also usable not just within a CLI context, but we can also very easily extend that to be used in a web UI. We've talked a lot about like self-medicate 2.0 plans, and I think this will be useful in that context as well. We can use the exact same JSON schema information to do that. So, any questions?
Matt, I have a question. Yeah. Why are you so talented at writing in Go?
What?
Why, like, I don't know. I got no questions. This looks good though.
Yeah, it's still really rough. I apologize. I wasn't really ready for a demo, but you know that's how it works.
Okay, that does look good, by the way. I was just joking around. I'm tired, so my brain is only half firing right now. So I made that post for the curriculum roadmap in the general category of the forums. Please go ahead and add to it if you'd like to see more lessons, or I divide it up into two things: things you'd like to see and things that you know you can help contribute. And I put some examples in there that are things that I know I have to do anyways. So feel free to add to that. That would be great. Did we lose someone?
I think everybody's just on mute.
No. Okay. Let's call it then. It's 8:30. Unless anyone has any open items they'd like to discuss, which I'll ask. Does anyone have any open items they'd like to discuss?
By the way, where are you guys based in? When you said you are in California now?
Yeah, we're in Sunnyvale.
At the
Oh,
moment,
okay.
yeah. We don't. Neither of us live here. We're just visiting. We both.
Oh, okay.
I live in Portland, Oregon, and Derek lives in Wisconsin.
Yeah. So we work for Juniper Networks, both of us, and that's about it's not 15 minutes. It's not even 5 minutes from here in a car. So there's all kinds of company meetings and stuff happening. So that's why we're out here.
Oh, I see. Cool. I was at Juniper some time back, but right now I'm just in college. But I was at Juniper some time back.
That's okay. If it helps, I wish I was back in college.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
All right. I think then we'll call it. The time of death is 8:34 a.m. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see. Oh, one other thing. So we've been as you know, we discussed and we decided to move our bi-weekly stream to Thursdays, hopefully to get better participation of people who we interview, because we had 3 out of 4 cancellations in the last month, but also possibly get more views. We did post we have a 2-part interview we did with someone who's just getting started in network automation, and he actually manages a team of people that they're all network engineers, and he's trying to spin some of them up to be network automation people, and he's got good, interesting, fresh insights on the challenges that he's facing. So we posted the first half of the interview. I did over the weekend actually, and the second part of the interview will appear on the 19th of December. I don't believe we might do maybe a fun and not serious stream over like a holiday stream, but I wouldn't bet money on it. And but we might. I mean, there's no reason really for us not to. It'll take a minute to do. But but you should expect regular streams again, probably starting the second or third week of January. That is it.
I tried to access some of the old streams on YouTube,
Yeah.
and I was getting that they were locked, and that I had to log in to view the old streams. And then when I tried to log in, I still couldn't view the old streams.
You're kidding me. They're all public.
Yeah,
They're all marked public.
should be anyway. We'll look at it. If they're not, we'll change that. That shouldn't be something you need to fix.
Oh, you know what though? YouTube said they're starting to get rid of videos that people aren't watching. Did you?
Well, that's helpful for them.
Yeah, that's. So we might have to find another site for our stuff.
Yeah, let's fucking move to Vimeo. That's crazy.
Yeah, they made that announcement, so we should probably actually check into that. They just made that announcement like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we'll take a look and see what they actually did. If they straight up removed them, yeah, that's a little much. We'll see.
All right, take care. See you in a week.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.